Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. We begin with breaking news tonight. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew has just finished speaking with reporters and says materials needed to search the Prairie Green landfill will begin to move this month. Kinew met this afternoon with families whose loved ones' remains are believed to be in the landfill north of Winnipeg. The Premier just finished speaking with reporters a few minutes ago. He says there will be a 5-stage approach to the search.
We have just concluded the first stage. The first stage was about getting the budgets, getting the approvals, getting the technical, all those kind of lead time considerations out of the way. The second stage is about us stepping up or standing up the facilities and conducting those trial search operations. And then stage 3, hiring the workforce, standing up the entire search activity. Stage 4, targeting that area where we believe the remains and the landfill material from May 16, 2022 are. And then stage 5 will be for us to search more broadly than that if the initial attempt is not successful. So we're through stage 1 of searching the Prairie Green landfill. 4 more stages to come. We are going to walk you through a technical briefing. We will offer a site visit in the near future, again, most likely next week. Today was about talking to the families. Today was about saying you've been through one heck of a terrible experience, but we are going to make good on the commitment that we said that we would search the landfill. And we're going to put the families first in the operation of the search, as well as Indigenous leadership, and of course honoring those commitments that I've made to the general public that we're going to do this in a fiscally responsible manner, but that most importantly shows our values as Manitobans, that we don't leave anyone behind.
Kinew also saying the search will happen this year and next, and realistically could go into early 2026. He says today was about the families and that he cannot understate the amount of respect they have for them, losing a loved one and then having to become part of a political campaign, the trial, and still wondering when the search was going to happen. The trial for Jeremy Skibicki, who is charged with first-degree murder in the deaths of 4 Indigenous women, wrapped up on Monday. A verdict will be delivered on July 11th. We will have more on this developing news on our website, aptnnews.ca. To other news now, where 2 shelters in Montreal held a memorial to mourn the loss of over 30 lives, half of whom were unhoused Indigenous people. APTN's Maricela Amador spoke with organizers who said multiple factors have contributed to this tragedy.
Jesse Blacksmith, April Blue Boy.
33 deaths over the last 3 years. Many of them unhoused Indigenous women.
Monica Poasi.
In downtown Montreal's Cabot Square, it's an emotional scene as community members gathered to mourn lost friends and loved ones.
Today is about honoring them, having people share, having an opportunity for staff to come and work with the people who are grieving and help them to move forward so that they don't end up this way.
Nakuset heads the Native Women's Shelter of Montreal.
And we really need more services because this cannot continue.
She says the number of deaths around the Cabot Square community is alarming and criticizes inaction from all levels of government in addressing Montreal's homelessness situation.
Will there be an inquest into all these 33 lives, right? Like, can we do more of that to find out what the root causes is, as opposed to just counting them when they're alive and really not doing very much about it?
Tapia Apak from Igloolik, Nunavut, has experienced homelessness. She's grateful for the opportunity to grieve.
It's been hard for me to think about him.
She says she came to pay her respects to people she knew and loved.
At first I didn't want to come here because I knew it was going to be hard for me to be here. But it's also very important because you get to feel the feelings of others.
Jeremiah Connors fell and hit his head. He never came out of the coma.
Attendees, who are part of the Cabot Square community, share memories of those they've lost.
April Blue Boy finally went home to her home community, but it didn't work out, so she came down here and died of an overdose.
David Chapman, the executive director of Resilience Montreal, says the housing crisis has made the situation worse.
Another factor is the increase in more dangerous drugs such as fentanyl. A third factor is the City of Montreal's approach and the approach more broadly in Quebec of clearing encampments.
Chapman explains people with no place to go are most likely to end up in dangerous circumstances.
It's both sad and extremely frustrating, because a significant number of the deaths on the board are unnecessary. One of the really common themes that I see is young Indigenous women who are afraid to go to the hospital.
He adds that every neighborhood in Montreal should have easily accessible resources for homelessness.
You see, there's a lot of young Inuit women, and these are the girls that usually just come out of youth protection. They're out of the system, they have nowhere to go. This park, has a lot of perpetrators that come to the park, and they're very vulnerable.
Nakuset hopes the government is watching, but she says she remains skeptical. Maricela Amador, APTN National News, Montreal.
Science and research in Canada's Arctic when it comes to climate change is being looked at in Ottawa. It's the sixth and final round for members of the Standing Committee on Science and Research to hear from witnesses. The president of Tappareet Kanatami, Natan Obed, appeared in the 2-hour session. He said 40% of the sea ice has melted. The Inuit rely upon the ice to hunt, fish, and travel, and it's left them with challenges when it comes to living off the land. According to Obed, if we continue to emit greenhouse gases at this rate, it will have catastrophic effects on the biodiversity and communities. Yet, he said, Inuit continue to fight for funding to conduct their own research.
The vast amount of funding that is targeted for Arctic science flows through systems that are in the South and benefits academic institutions or governments or relationships that are all south to south. People build their careers and live comfortably in the South while being experts about us and about our environment or about climate change in Inuit Nunangat.
To Saskatchewan now, where the provincial auditor released the first volume of her 2024 audit. Mental health emerged as an important concern in a school division near North Battleford. According to the Living Sky School Division, 1/3 of their approximately 2,500 high school students are Indigenous. Out of a sample of 20 students seeking help with their mental health, half were Indigenous. Provincial Auditor Tara Clement found that without more comprehensive sharing of information, these students might not get the help they need when they need it.
The students that are experiencing mental health crisis, if they are Indigenous, that might lend itself to really needing more culturally appropriate interventions. Like, is there anything in terms of really providing more access to elders and so forth?
Time for a quick break. Still to come, a proposed budget cut is bad news for midwives in the NWT and those looking to use the service.
Midwives do want to come and work here to help build this program, but there have been systemic barriers that have resulted in midwives really feeling not supported.
Welcome back. The midwifery community in the Northwest Territories is facing a big challenge, but they are fighting back, highlighting their contributions to families, the healthcare system, and the North in general. Our reporter Charlotte Moore-Jacobs has that story.
With 3 decades of practice under her belt, Indigenous midwife Leslie Paulette is working tirelessly, advocating amidst a proposed budget cut of nearly $1 million that would fund nearly half of all midwifery positions in the Northwest Territories.
And it's not for lack of interest. People do want midwifery services. It's not for lack of interest from midwives. Midwives do want to come and work here to help build this program. But there have been systemic barriers that have resulted in midwives really feeling not supported to implement the program the way in many cases they know how to do because they've done it before.
The proposed cuts affect 4 practitioner positions serving Yellowknife, Beshko, Dilo, and Beta, a territorial manager position, and a senior midwifery consultant within the Department of Health and Social Services. APTN requested an interview with the department. Instead, we received this statement over email. It cites challenges with recruitment and retention of staff and says existing midwifery services in Fort Smith and Hay River will not be affected. The NWT Association of Midwifery have been meeting territorial politicians to explain why the program has had its setbacks.
And we've had 6 midwives in positions in Yellowknife over the past several years. They were enthusiastic and optimistic about coming to work in the north. They understood the importance of increasing access for people in Yellowknife and in the small communities to get midwifery care. It can make a real difference in terms of improving outcomes and providing culturally safe care. So we had midwives who were really interested in coming. Unfortunately, we have lost all but one of those midwives. The others left because they were disappointed and frustrated that they were not really supported.
Some Yellowknife MLAs have spoken up, asking the health minister to reconsider.
Midwifery services in Yellowknife were planned out for the next 3 years to provide outreach to.
There's also been support from the public. On May 31st, a rally was held in Fort Smith and Yellowknife, and public testimonials have been circulating online, especially around the impact birth workers have on continuity of care and how Indigenous midwives can help reclaim traditional practices around birth. For Paulette, she says eliminating jobs will only deter Northerners from coming home to train when the midwifery community shrinks.
The focus is not on just serving Yellowknife, it's on creating a strong core and a presence of midwifery in the Territorial Referral Centre, but being able to reach out to communities and regions and being able to welcome clients from those smaller communities when they come to Yellowknife, to give them that option. Would you like to try midwifery care when you're here? You know, what can we do to support you?
The territorial government will vote on the matter this week. Charlotte Moore-Jacobs, APTN National News, Yellowknife.
Well, this month marks Pride Month, and many communities across Canada are celebrating LGBTQ2S+ people. As Sarah Connors tells us, a small northern community in the Yukon recently joined the celebrations for the first time ever. Here's that story.
It's your typical Pride parade, one that wouldn't be complete without rainbows, floats, and of course, costumes. But in this small community, population 200, this event means so much more.
And here we are making history by having Mayo's first ever Pride Parade.
Beloved Mayo resident Natasha Young, a Nacho-Nayakdun citizen and proud member of the LGBTQ2S+ community, passed away last year. Young always dreamed of having a Pride event in her home community.
She had a partner who unfortunately passed away a few years before her, and I think them being here in our community really raised a lot of awareness about the Two-Spirit community and being out, and really about what love can be.
Wow, look at all the support for my sister. She'd be really honored.
With the help from Young's niece Ava, the community rallied together to make Young's wish come true at the J.V. Clark School in Mayo.
We are creating a space of acceptance and appreciation and not perpetuating the hate and violence that has plagued these communities for too many years. We are caring for all our people.
Young's friend Joella Hogan says it can be hard to be openly queer in rural northern communities, but events like these show there is community support.
To us, that shows the commitment to community, to openness, to equality, and to really making this inclusive community.
Finley Parks, who identifies as trans, says visibility of LGBTQ2S+ people is important.
I think events like this, especially when it's like, a smaller community, a lot more intermingled, like it just shows younger generations and all generations of people really that there's love and support there and they can be who they are.
How we get by is by supporting each other and lifting each other up. And so, yeah, it really warms my heart to see everyone out here today doing what we do best in small towns, which is supporting each other.
Community members hope this year's event will be the first of many Pride parades. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Mayo.
Time for one last break. Still to come, teaching Michif with puppets.
It's a chance to learn about the language, and whether you're Métis or not, you can learn a lot about the history of our people and how we see things and how we came to be.
Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Clarence Jones spotted a mother bear nibbling on some greens in the Gitxsan Nation. Hope you had a good lens, Clarence, and didn't have to get too close. Thanks for sending that in. You can send your pictures to share@aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, 24 and showers for Halifax and Fredericton. 22 and cloudy in Kuujjuaq, 19 under sunny skies for Nain. 25 in Montreal, 24 for Val-d'Or. Showers and 26 in Sault Ste. Marie, 24 in North Bay. 26 in Thunder Bay, showers, and 22 in Sioux Lookout. 3 in Churchill, showers, and 16 for God's Lake. 25 with rain in Winnipeg, showers, and 18 in Dauphin. 21 with rain in Regina, showers, and 19 in Saskatoon. Rain and 14 for Meadow Lake, showers, and 19 for La Ronge. Soggy day across northern Alberta, 21 with rain in High Level, 15 in showers in Peace River. 14 with rain in Edmonton, 23 in Lethbridge. Sun's out in Vancouver, 15 is the high, 24 in Kamloops. 14 with rain in Prince George, showers, and 13 in Smithers. 19 in Old Crow and Whitehorse. 18 for Yellowknife, 20 in Norman Wells. 9 with rain in Sax Harbor, cloudy, and 5 for Paulatuck. 4 with snow in Chesterfield, cloudy, high of 6 for Baker Lake. Plus 2 with snow in Resolute, flurries, and 4 in Arctic Bay. Environment and Climate Change Canada has introduced a new weather system capable of rapidly identifying links between extreme hot weather and human-caused climate change. The system will allow scientists to make the determination within a week of an extreme climate event.
Able to provide those results days after an event rather than months or years. They're likely to be of more interest to people to help understand the impacts of climate change. Also, for those working on, for example, recovery from natural events, from disasters, and for those planning climate change adaptation, also for those people, it's useful to know soon after an event whether an event was made more likely because of human-induced climate change.
And Environment and Climate Change Canada released this map today with this summer's weather predictions. Experts say above average temperatures and below average precipitation will be seen in most of Canada. A new web series is debuting that is helping promote Michif to young children. APTN's Chris Stewart talked to the creator and the co-star of the show.
Oh, Tache Henry. Angelique, mon ami Henry Awa. This is my friend.
Christopher White and his team are excited about the upcoming web launch of his series, Michif Makers. In it, puppet cousins William and Angelique learn about Métis history and about the Michif language with the help of their animal friends.
Each episode kind of has a problem or a challenge that your children need to overcome. They usually try, they fail, as most children tend to do with things, but it's through the learning of a particular keyword or phrase that ties into an aspect of Métis culture or history that they're able to kind of self-actualize and resolve their problems and kind of grow as human beings, or puppets as it were.
White says it is targeted towards children 4 to 7 and combines entertainment with learning.
It's funny, it's engaging, we've got lots of music, a lot of slapstick, some good dialogue jokes there for the parents as well. So really it's about kind of pulling them in, making characters in a world that is relatable, that is fun, and finding ways to kind of sprinkle in the language.
Found you, mon frere. You found me. now where could Angelique be? I don't know.
APTN couldn't turn down an opportunity to interview William, one of the co-stars.
I do the show with my best cousin, Angelique. She's funny and she's a lot of fun. And sometimes we have our weasel friends, Ermin and Bella. God, they're really funny too. And you know what? We also learn a lot too, which is a lot of fun. We have fun, but there's also a lot of learning we get to do. So people like Madame Bufflou and Lou the Wolf, they help teach us a lot and help us grow and learn a little bit more about our language.
The first 2 episodes debut this Saturday at mischiefmakers.ca, with new episodes weekly, 5 episodes in total.
Well, I hope all of you young people watching out there really like our show. We put a lot of time into it, and I hope you have a lot of fun just like we did. It's a chance to learn about the language, and whether you're Métis or not, you can learn a lot about the history of our people and how we see things and how we came to be.
The Stanley A. Milner Library in downtown Edmonton has a free screening on Saturday at 1 p.m. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
Pretty cool. Well, back to Montreal now, where sculptures adorn a major artery in the downtown. The installation is part of the city's Indigenous strategy. 4 out of the 11 sculptures were unveiled last summer. Now the urban walking trail is finally complete with the other 7 sculptures. The project was commissioned after the discovery of a 14th century Iroquois village under Peel Street in 2018. According to the City of Montreal, the sculptures are an invitation to reflect on the city's history since the arrival of the Europeans. It was a collaboration with the Mohawk community of Ganawage. The sculptures were created by Mohawk artist MC Snow and artist Kyra Ravenko.
It's important to know our histories, and a lot of our histories is hidden even from us. When they do these digs and they all of a sudden they come up with these things, it's like amazing. It's something that could easily be forgotten, and I think that's one of my biggest fears is, what if nobody remembers? We have to commemorate these things. We have to commemorate this space as a place that, we were here before, and just to continue that.
And that is all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Tuesday. A reminder about our top story tonight, Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew saying a search at the Prairie Green landfill for the remains of missing loved ones will begin this summer and could last until 2026. We will have more on this story on our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Marcy McGuitch, thanks for being with us. Have a great night.